Hello everyone, and thank you for joining in today's meetup is on your AI specialist certification, which is a new certification offered by Salesforce. So this is more of kind of where we can use these external LLM models in our Salesforce application, as well as uh, I will also showcase about how you can use MuleSoft APIs in our Agent Force, which is the offering provided by Salesforce. So this is the organizers. So we already this is me. We are the organizers of Mumbai MuleSoft meetup. So if you want to present anything in this meetup, kindly reach out to any one of us, and we will be thankful and also will be helpful to provide you new opportunity to speak in this community meetup. And this is a safe harbor statement. Both the speaker and host are organizing this meetup in individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies over here. The presentation is strictly for learning purpose only. Organizer, presenter do not hold any responsibility that the same solution will work for your business requirements also. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. And this is about me, the speaker. I am Megesh Shenoy. I am a Salesforce and a MuleSoft developer. I'm a MuleSoft as well as a Salesforce Forum ambassador. Author, or you may find blogs or recording videos about MuleSoft and Salesforce offerings. So this is the agenda for today. First, we'll be discussing about the modules in the certification in the new AI specialist certification. Then we will be also talking about Einstein Trust Layer, Einstein Copilot, resources, and we'll have the Q&A session at the end of it. Now, these are certain modules in your AI specialist certification. The first we have Einstein Trust Layer, which holds 15%. Then we have generative AI in CRM application, which holds 17%. Prompt Builder, which holds 37%, and Einstein Copilot holds 23%, and Model Builder 8%. Now, if you have a look over here, the Prompt Builder and the Einstein Copilot holds almost 50%, more than 50% of your basic percentage for passing your AI specialist certification. Also, the passing score is kept at very high. It's at around 73%, if I'm not wrong. That holds around, you need to have around 44, 46 questions out of your 60 questions that is provided in your certification exam, right? So you may now think about how much you have to pay attention whenever you are learning for AI specialist certification exam. Now, the entire thing, generally, what certain terms that you will be hearing is about AI, the trust, right? And then you also have data protection, data security, all of them. You will be, whenever you're going through these modules or learning for the certification, you will come across these terms very regularly. Now, whenever we talk about Gen AI, right, there is also a separate category of organizations which are very frightened to use generative AI. The problem over here is that whenever we use generative AI, organizations usually think about how they can secure the data, right? Because if you remember one of the incident which happened quite recently when OpenAI OpenAI GPT was released, right? Some of the engineers in a very big organization just blatantly exposed their organization secure information in that Gen AI model, and it got public from there, right? So because of which many companies are still very hesitant to use Gen AI in their day-to-day applications as well. Although you may have seen organizations have very much Gen AI features in them, right? But they themselves sometimes are in fear of using Gen AI because of the data security policies. Now, questions to ask when we are using Gen AI: how do I take advantage of generative AI tools and keep personal and customer data safe? How do I know that what data different AI providers are collecting and how it will be used? And how can I be sure that I'm not accidentally handling over personal or company data to train the AI models? How to verify that AI generated responses are accurate, unbiased, and trustworthy? Now, these are only few of the questions that we are going through right now, but there will be many questions as you go deep into how you can use generative AI not only in your Salesforce but any of the external application your company is using, because we know that there is also side effects of using Gen AI. But what is the advantage of using Gen AI is the humans which were working previously on an task which can be automated using Gen AI. So you know that now the people who are working on that task, right, can work on other set of tasks which are more of priority to the organization, right? So organizations can now have people work on more aligned tasks rather than just working on a task which is of very less use to them. Now, these are some of the core pillars of when you're working with GenAI. The first one is data safety, right? So, if you remember the first question, how do I take advantage of generative AI tools and keep personal and customers' data safe, which revolves around data safety? We need to I need to have some kind of mechanism for data safety whenever we are using generative AI. Then how do I know what data different AI providers are collecting and how it will be used? Data collection. Now, I don't want to expose any of my sensitive data to these Gen AI models, right? Now, if I expose data to these Gen AI models, and if you're using the same Gen AI models tomorrow, any other organization, they can put in something very specific and they can extract the sensitive data of company, right? Now, how can I be sure that I'm not accidentally handling over personal or company data to train the AI models? Data caution. You need to be very cautious about your handling personal or your company data to these AI models. And how to verify that AI generated responses are accurate, unbiased, and trustworthy, which revolves around trust, which is one of the also a core pillar of Salesforce. Now, these are some of the questions, and Einstein Trust Layer usually deals about all of these questions together. And with that, we'll be walking through our very first topic, which is Einstein Trust Layer. If you remember, it holds around 15% of your certification. Now, this is an entire picture of your Einstein layer. And if you get understanding about how Einstein Trust Layer works, you can easily answer all the questions with 100%. So 15% questions maybe wrong as well, but if you understand this entire diagram, which is very easy, you can answer all of the questions without having to think much about it. Now, these are some of the CRM apps over there. We can have data which is ingested from multiple systems and have a unified profile by using Salesforce Data Cloud. We have also Salesforce Manufacturing Cloud, and there can be many other cloud offerings provided by Salesforce, right? Where you have the data. Now, how what how we can use Gen AI in our CRM application, right? And whenever we are using Gen AI, we need to be also sure that I'm not exposing my data to any other entity, right? And this is how Einstein Trust Layer comes into the picture. So we have our natural prompt. Now, prompt is a way for us to interact with these large language models. And whenever in the prompt, if you're using OpenAI GPT, the GPT, your Gemini, or you also have Cloud, right? So if you're using any of these LLM models of LLM model providers, so you may be entering something, right, and you will be getting in response. That is called a prompt. Now, in this prompt, in our Salesforce specifically, we do secure data retrieval. For example, if whenever I'm sending in prompt, I don't want to have some general data, right? General responses from LLM models. I want customer specific or customer centric responses. For that, we will enrich the prompt with our CRM data, which is of more useful. For to enrich the CRM data in our prompt, we do a secure data retrieval, by which we only retrieve what is of more use to the prompt. Now, in dynamic rounding, once we retrieve the data, we need to now enrich the data in our prompt, right? So we do this at the dynamic rounding level. Now, the thing to note over here is that if So secure data retrieval and dynamic grounding both honor Salesforce user permissions. So if suppose you are a user, you are in a org, and if you don't have access to data, and you will go and use Einstein Copilot or prompt, you won't be able to see the data. It's because you have access to the data, which means these two steps usually honor Salesforce user record access as well as field access or your object level permissions. Then we do data masking. For example, today I go and enter a prompt. I say that, okay, I am Megesh Shenoy and this is my PAN number, this is my Aadhaar card number, right? Or this is my social security number. Now, I don't want any of these personal data to be given to these large, and with that you can tomorrow go and interact using prompt. You can just type in and get specific data of mine, right? And it is very sensitive data, and usually data masking does it for you. What data masking does is that, suppose I enter my PAN card number, right? So it would add any gibberish value in place of my PAN card, right? And now all the sensitive data would be masked in this data masking process. And then we have prompt defense usually deals with data with your hallucinations. For example, if suppose your LLM models don't have any knowledge about a specific thing that you want to query, right? And it may give out certain responses which is not accurate, right? So you don't want any of this. Either you give me an accurate response or either you don't give me an accurate response. And prompt defense deals with it, right? So if you want some accurate responses, you don't want any kind of false thing, right, from these LLM models. And this is where your prompt defense would come into the picture. Prompt defense would actually restrict hallucinations from these LLM models. So this is our your before generation, or we call it a request journey in our instant trust layer. So everything over here happens at before sending our prompt to our large language models. Now, if you see, we have secure data retrieval, which will retrieve only the required data from Salesforce. All user permissions and record level access will be enforced by default. Then we have dynamic grounding over here, which would enrich the prompt with necessary Salesforce data with merge fields. Now, as I said, we need to also populate our Salesforce data, right, or the customer data in prompt to to get more of useful responses from these prompt, right, to be more specific to the current customer that we are into it by using merge fields. Now, data retrieval steps. So here we don't. So one thing to note over here is that we should only pass data to these LLM models, which is sort of more important to us, right? For example, from these large language models, and we send some data which is of no use to them, right? Why we need to do that, right? We should only send the data which is of more useful to these prompts and the large language models. Then we data masking, for sending the prompt to the LLM model. And then we have where we would restrict the LLM models from hallucinating. Then we have these, right? Now, these are the last year we can have models hosted in Salesforce Trust Boundary. Then we can bring our own models on your own infrastructure. Then we also have external models with shared trust boundary. Now we can also bring in our own models, but this feature is only provided in data cloud enabled orgs. Now, if you're using data cloud and if you're using your Einstein Copilot offering, then you can also bring in your own models where you can create predictive models, or you can create variations of your large language models which is provided by Salesforce, right? So this is what your models, and the key thing to note over here is that we have a zero data retention over here. So whenever you send in prompt to these large language models, then as a contract signed by Salesforce with these LLM models, these models would not retain any of the data or any of the prompt that you had passed into these LR models. Now this is all of your zero data retention. And now we will go to, now also there need to be a certain steps, right? Whenever we get certain responses from these large language models, what if still the large language models are still hallucinating, right? Or if there is something which is very odd in the response that we got, Now we do this at the after generation steps. So we have toxicity detection. Over here, we check if certain kind of tone, right? Of for example, I want the tone of the responses to be very much soft, right? Should not be very lenient or very hard, right? So these kind of checks are done over here, as well as it will also check if there is any sexual content or very hazardous languages which is not user friendly is being used, right? So these kind of checks are done at the toxicity detection level, and these are all audited. So if you have data cloud enabled orgs, you can go open the report and you can also check whether what was the response, like what was the request, original request, what was the response, what what was that score, right? So we also have something called a score over here, which we'll be talking now. Then we also have data demasking. Now, if you remember in the previous step, we passed in some PAN card information, some Aadhaar card information, right? Now these were masked with masked, and now I want to demask it. I don't want the external or the user to view all of that gibberish value, right? So I will now populate it with the sensitive data, and this is done at the data demasking level. Now we also have a feedback framework for Salesforce to generate some accurate responses. You have something have feedback framework. Now over here, all you have to give is so you will get that options of thumbs up or thumbs down, and also have an optional text where you can provide your feedback. And then we have a audit trail. Now whatever activities are being done over here is being tracked in the audit trail. And now this is not your Salesforce normal audit trail. This is only available in your data cloud enabled orgs. Now to start with, we have toxicity detection, and this is our response journey, to be to be very honest. So over here we have Einstein removes toxic, hateful, violent, sexual, identifiable, physical, and profane responses. The score for safety category ranges from 0 to 1, with 1 being safe and 0 being toxic. Now, if you're preparing for the exam, please keep a close note of it, because you are most likely to get some kind of uh, questions on these scores, on the safety score. So have some so please pay attention to this particular line whenever you are uh, appearing for the exam. Now we have data demasking. All the sensitive data that was masked before sending it to the LLM model will now be demasked, which means the prompt response will be enriched with the customer data. Now we have feedback framework. Provide feedback to Einstein whether the response from the prompt was useful or not by pressing the thumbs up or thumbs down button with optional comments. And we have the last audit trail. And also keep a close track on audit trail, since if I'm not wrong, there was also some kind of questions on audit trail. And pay a note on this as well. It is only available in data cloud enabled orgs. It would keep track of last 30 days of audit records containing the original request, response of the prompt, toxicity detection score, and user feedback. So all of them is available in your reports and dashboards. But this is only available in your data cloud enabled orgs, and for the last 30 days only. Now, this that was all for your Einstein trust layer. Now, if you're preparing for the exam, as I said, uh, if you remember, if you know the general or the general thing what happens in the Einstein trust layer, you will be easily, you can score 100% in this category. So if there are 5 questions, when if you have a general knowledge or generic sense about how things execute in which order, you can easily crack this section. And for me, this was also the easiest section of all. Now there is also one more section where we also discuss about what are the other AI applications which is powered by Einstein in your Salesforce, and which is more of theoretical, right? And it was holding some around 17%. I would share the resource of it where you could learn them. And again, it is more of how you need to you just need to know about when to use them, right? You don't need to know about the ins and out of it. You just need to know where should I use that AI application in my Salesforce. So that is also all about your CRM applications, your GenAI applications in your Salesforce. And third, we have Prompt Builder. Now, Prompt Builder holds the most number of questions you will be coming across in your certification. It holds around 37%, which is a big chunk in your certification. Now, before going to prompt, let's first understand what is prompt, right? As I mentioned earlier, what is prompt? Prompt is basically a way for us to interact with LLM models. Now, LLM models are basically trained on large data set, right? And they can provide you many kind of data as output, right? You need to be very specific about what we need from that LLM model. And this is where your good prompt should come in. Now, if you're writing a prompt, you need to also know that what makes a prompt very good. A good prompt may contain ingredients and instructions. And ingredients contain your participants, right? Who is the sender? Who is the receiver? Settings, which usually defines about what kind of thing you want from that prompt. We have goals, what kind of actions or what kind of things again we want from that prompt, right? To be in more specific way. Relationships, that what is like between the sender and the receiver, like what kind of relationship is established between them, right? And this everything would help that LLM model generate a very tailored response, right? To be a very customer centric response, and the data which is usually needed for the prompt to have a more I would say more personalized response from it. Then we have instructions. We are expected data type, what kind of content that we want from that LLM model, right? Do we need a video? Do we need an audio? Or do we need some kind of text based, right? So we need to also specify expected data type. Then we also need to have limit hallucination, some instructions, right? As I said, LLM models have the tendency to hallucinate, right? If you do anything, it will still hallucinate. You need to have certain instructions ready as well for it to restrict hallucinating. Then we have language. Now, LLM models can also, they are bilingual, right? They can also provide content in Spanish or French or Hindi, right? So we need to also specify that we want that language in English. Then we have style and tone. Organizations have different style, right, of interacting with their customers. Some may be very soft and some may be very professional, right? So we need to also set the style and tone, and all of these things makes it a good prompt, right? So if you are writing a prompt to an LLM model right now, to your Chat GPT and all, right, just think about all of these things, and you will see the result of your responses that will be getting from that prompt or from that OpenAI model or any other LLM model that you are using. Now, these are very specific. Now, there are also a couple of prompt builder types which you will be coming across uh, in your journey of AI specialist preparation. But then you won't be finding many resources around it, right? But there are a couple of more prompts. If I remember, it was send scheduler email, some kind of prompt. So I would say which is very important for you to know. The first one is sales email, right? So what it shall do is it shall write very a personalized email through. Now many of us are MuleSoft back get a chance to go to your Salesforce org, right? If your organization is using, or if you are learning through Trailhead, you get these orgs, right? All you have to do is go to your contact or a lead, go to your related section, and then you will be your or a activities section, if I'm not wrong, you'll be having some button called as email. If you click on it, it will now prompt type what shall do is it would so you can create these kind of prompt where you can fetch contact or a lead and create a more personalized email from it, right? And what should the input? As I mentioned, it can be a contact or a lead, or optionally you can also enrich your email prompt with any other customer data. And what are the entry point? You also have your email composer, as I mentioned earlier. You can also invoke it from Flow, Apex. We also have REST APIs and Copilot action. But flows are basically an auto we have in MuleSoft, right? Where we can automate things by connecting MuleSoft Composer. So we have something called Salesforce Lightning Flows in Salesforce. We can automate processes in your Salesforce org itself. Then we have Apex. In Apex, Apex, we can write our own custom code in the backend. It's basically you're writing a backend code. And then we have REST APIs. Now, you all may know that Salesforce also has some standard APIs, right? So you can also invoke these prompts from your REST APIs. Then we have field generation. We will have in the field generation prompt template, we can generate text to be stored in a custom field within a record page. And input can be of any object of your choice. We have your record page, flows, entry points can be your record page, flow, Apex, REST API, and Copilot action. Now over here, if you have a look, we can invoke the sales email from your email composer, and you can also, and the second point for field generation prompt template is you can invoke it from your record page, right? While all the flow, Apex, REST API, and Copilot action remains the same. Now, these are certain useful prompt builder types that you will be using more frequently. Then we have record summary. Now, this prompt builder prompt template type, you can only invoke it from your Copilot action, which I'll be talking in the later stage today. Then we have your inputs, right? You can have any. So what it shall do is it will only summarize a record for you. That's all it does. And then we have flex type. Now over here in Flex, we can generate text to be used anywhere. Now we can have up to 5 objects of your choice. So if you are using, so this is basically your very generic type of prompt builder type prompt template you are creating over here, where you can invoke it from Flow, Apex, REST API, Copilot action. Now note over here, we can we what we can do is we can just pass data of 5 objects to these prompt template types, as well as we can also pass string data type, right? So we can have at most 5 types, which it can be of any combination. We can either send string or we can either send object records to these prompt types. And now what shall I do is I'll just give you a small demo about this prompt builder as well. Now currently I am on my contact record page, and this is the prompt builder prompt I have created. Now for you to access prompt, right, you need to, so if you are preparing for your AI specialist certification, you may be going through certain trail mix, right? And in that trail mix you also have certain modules where you can create these GenAI enabled or Einstein enabled orgs free of cost. You just have to go and search for Einstein in your setup. In Einstein, you just have to go and just enable it up. So once you Einstein setup, right? So see, for me it's turned on. So if you enable it up, next you have the prompt builder option available. If you don't enable it up, you want to view the prompt builder this option at all. Now, if you see, there are certain standard prompt types we have, and we have created a custom prompt template over here, which says a summarize sketch record. Now, this is the prompt type. So if we can also go and click on new prompt template, if you see, we have field generation, flex, and record summary. The fourth one, which is your sales email, needs, so for that we need extra license, as well as we need to first go and enable it up. So we can only see as of now 3 options. In it, if I click on field generation specifically, and we can just go and click on any name, and can just go and click on object and object field, right? Which field are summary. Now I have already created this prompt over here, which says that you are a travel agent, especially company called Chloral Cloud Source. This is the input name. Now, if you remember, I was talking about merge fields, right? Yes, this is a merge field. Now we can also add in flows, Apex, your organization information, your current user information, and your contact information in this prompt over here. And if you see, we have something called as instructions, right? So this specifies what kind of things that prompt is, or this prompt, and what kind of response that we can get from it. Now, whenever you create these prompts over, you write these prompts, right? Now you need to also pay a close attention to this, because if I'm not wrong, there was some kind of questions upon the instructions and the syntax used, right? So also have a closer look over here. Then we have this This is called a preview, where you can just look at what was the response of this prompt right before activating this up. Now what we can do is, this is basically this is the related record. This is basically a contact record. You can just go, it would search for your contact record. I would again search for the same contact record. So just click on this, and what we can do is we can click on preview. Once we click on the preview, now we know that what was the prompt that was created over here, right? So if you see, we have written over here input dot contact name, right? So you see this contact name, which was Sophia Rodriguez. Then we have input, we have also added the input customer interest, right, in this prompt. And these were all replaced with the actual CRM data over here. So this is your dynamic rounding. Now over here we can see that we got some response from that LLM model, right? Now if you are satisfied with everything, then just go and activate it up. Now this is where you can also configure your models. You have your standard model, you also have your custom models. You can also bring your own custom models. As of now, I don't have any custom models. I have standard models. In your standard models, these are all of the models which is provided by Salesforce out of the box. We have OpenAI GPT-4. These are all the very new models which are provided by OpenAI.
Megesh, do we have something called LLM model, Gemini models like supported by Salesforce?
So
LLEMA model, Gemini, those kind of model.
uh, no, nothing as Google, but these
Okay.
are only the models which are provided. These are standard models. Maybe they
No,
may
we have
introduce it.
something for like NLP, right? So that is
Yeah.
LLLEMA3, LLLMA2, right? Those kind of models. It's not supported, right?
So no, it's only these models that are supported
So
out of the
mostly
box by Salesforce as
these
of
are
now.
like all for prompt engineering, right? Where we can do the
Correct.
interaction, correct? Yeah.
Correct. Correct. So these are all your standard models which is provided. Again, you can also bring your own custom models, but if I'm not wrong, it is only for your data cloud enabled orgs as of now. Where you can create predictive AI models on your data cloud data, and then you can also create some kind of variations of these GenAI models where you can play with the settings of it, right? For example, you have certain parameters called temperature in it. You can play with those settings. You can create some new variations of these GenAI models in that, but it's only enabled in your data cloud enabled orgs as of now. So these are all your prompt built up. And for you to use this, so this was also, if I'm some kind of question, if I'm not wrong, for you to use this, so you need to also remember about how to invoke these models, right? You need to also know about how to invoke these prompt templates. Now, for field generation prompt template, the first thing for you to invoke it is, you have to go click on edit page, and you have to enable something called as dynamic forms. As of now, I have already enabled dynamic forms, but it's a way that you can place the fields dynamically, right? Instead of creating page layouts are basically you determine which fields you need to be, it should be visible on the record page, right? So you can just go and enable the dynamic forms, which is exactly the same but in a much efficient way. So once you enable dynamic forms and you have created a prompt template over here for the specific field, right? Contact guest summary. All you have to do is just go to guest summary field, and you can see there is some option called generative AI, right? Where you can just input what kind of prompt. So there is also a way to invoke it, and we need to also specify what prompt template should be invoked, right? So we have already specified summarize guest record. So we'll just click on leave. Now over here, if we go to details, right, we have a sparkle pencil icon over here. We just have to go and click on it, right? So once we click on it, all of this current data is actually sent to that LLM model. And this is what we got the response from that LLM model, where we can just go and simply click on use. So if we click on use, it's already sent over here, and all we have to do is click on save. Now this is everything regarding prompt builder. Now there you know the this session can go more deep into prompt builder, but then you need the things that you have to remember when you are working when you are preparing for this AI actually certification is the limit and the limitations, right? For example, how many merge fields that you can use, what are the number of apex callers that you can make from this prompt builder, right? You need to know about the limit and limitations, as well as just the thing to know that we cannot deploy these prompt builder prompt templates from your CI/CD process. It's because there is some. So basically, we can also make a call out to flows and apex, right? What if the flows or apex are not present in your org? If there is some kind of commutation or combination over there, right? So it can actually there will be some kind of problem caused, because of which Salesforce hasn't enabled it to be deployed through your CI/CD pipeline. So if I'm not wrong, to for you to use them, you can only do it on your production orgs only. Now, this is where the other part, interesting part comes in, which is your Agent Force Einstein Copilot. Now, if you have seen your Dreamforce announcement, right, there was particularly concentration on Agent Force AI, Gen AI, Agent Force, right? And this is Einstein Copilot comes in. Now, Einstein Copilot is also a type of Agent Force agent that helps Salesforce users with business tasks. Copilot agent interprets our request, makes a plan to address it, and then execute the next best actions. Now you can just simply interact with your agent. You can just type hello, this is where from and you can just send it, can you help my case from a thing to note over here, a very new innovation. So if you're using your Slack, your Salesforce, you MuleSoft and everything, right? Make call out from Slack as well. Then we have every action in a Copilot is assigned. Now topic is the actions, right? For example, if that these actions case is these actions. So I can set it up based upon how it works. You can create topics based upon the different actions that you can do with Copilot. Handstand Copilot respects same as prompt builder and same over here as well. It respects organ user permission. For example, if you don't have access to contact records, right, and you in prompt, all it shall do is it shall just pass blank value to the prompt, because you don't have the access to the data, right? So you can't actually embed the data or enrich that prompt with the customer data. And Einstein Copilot is only available for your Salesforce Lightning experience and for your Salesforce mobile app only. Now, other part over here is Einstein Copilot consists of the Copilot, which is this, the actions that you can execute or the Copilot can execute, and the reasoning engine. And this is overall how your Einstein Copilot works. First, we initiate this by you having a conversation with your Copilot. We can just go and which I'll just show you in a minute. So what we can do is we can just go and click on an Einstein button at the top of a screen, which would actually initiate this action where I can just specify my request. Can you create an email for my top open opportunities this week? Then what Copilot shall do is the reasoning engine is the main heart and soul of this Copilot. What it shall do is it shall first understand the intent of the user's request. Then it shall identify the right order of this Copilot actions to be executed and how it can satisfy the user's request. Now, this everything is done in the execution part where your flows, you can also invoke flows, prompt Apex APIs, right, by using custom actions. Then Einstein grounds your AI in your grounds AI in your data. So whatever responses, so again, it go through that Einstein trust boundary, right? Your secure data retrieval, dynamic grounding, right? Everything happens in the back end of it. Now, this is all about your Einstein Copilot, which is of more. So just remember these components in your Einstein Copilot. The Copilot, which is the prompt itself, which is the entire agent itself, the actions that it can execute, and the reasoning engine. Now, what type of actions that Copilot can execute, right? So this is also a very good important question for your certification exam. The type of actions that Copilot can execute are standard actions. There are also some called as system actions, and then we have custom actions. Now, whenever you enable Einstein Copilot, you get these standard actions out of the box. We can query records with aggregate, identify records by name, identify objects by name, draft or revise sales email, and answers question with knowledge. There are also some standard actions specific to the cloud if you are using. For example, if you're using market your manufacturing cloud, right, you have certain tailored standard actions provided by Salesforce out of the box for your Einstein Copilot. Now, what if there are certain actions that you can't perform, right? Or there is nothing satisfy your user request. You can create custom actions. And how you can create custom actions is by using flows, Apex, and prompt builder prompts. So the previous, if you section that we saw prompt builder types, right? So we can also create them over here and invoke it from your Einstein Copilot. Now, this is all of your standard actions and custom actions. The other thing to note over here is that you cannot remove any of the standard actions because this is the way that Einstein performs. All you have to do is you can create custom actions, you can also remove them, right? But you cannot remove any of the standard actions or the system actions provided by Salesforce. Now, I'll just give a small demo about how Copilot works as well. Now this is my org, right? And to initiate the conversation with your Einstein Copilot, you have to also click on this Einstein button over here. Now, if you see, it has initiated a conversation. It is saying is already sending me some kind of data, right? So because I'm on a contact record, is it has already given me some kind of suggestions, right? That we can summarize the contact over here, or also I can just write a draft email. Now, if you remember, what I mentioned over here is I'll just share it. But see, it has, so what I did, I just selected on summarize contact and it has summarized the entire contact for me over here, right? So this is done by using your your standard actions in your Copilot. Now, for you to enable Copilot, how you can do is you can just go to agents. If you see, you have to enable it over here. Once you enable it, you can see the Copilot over here, the Copilot agent created. Then you have to just go and click on Open Builder. Now this is your Copilot builder will be building this entire agent, and there are some certain uh, standard actions provided by Salesforce. You can't remove them because it's the way Copilot works. You have something called as topic. To repeat myself, topic is a way to segregate the actions based upon its business requirement, business use cases. Now, in this topic here, if I see, these are certain actions present and under this topic, right? We have fetch active promotions, which I created these custom MuleSoft actions over here. Now, these are certain actions, and these are the topics, and this is the agent actions that it can perform. Now, for example, what I can do is I can just go, what I'll do, I'll just copy this name, and I can actually see in this panel about what kind of steps that Copilot execute, right? For example, I can just say in Copilot that, hello, eh, now just sent in this name over here. Let's see whether Copilot was able to identify or not, right? So what it shall, so if you have a look over here, Copilot would actually understand the user intent. Then it would also identify what kind of actions that we need to do. Now, if you see, it has just, I just said, hello, can you please summarize this record, right? Now, Copilot over here is identifying that, what kind of things that it needs to do. Then it executes the standard actions, right? Identify record by name over here. Now this is you can't view what happens internally, but this is the way it is made. Now it would just understand the record, then it would summarize the record, right? The standard action, again we are using standard action over here, and what we got, the response over here is your message about, again you can have it in a visual view, or you can also look at the response that you got from the Einstein Copilot. Now this is how Copilot works, right? And just check, yeah. Now, this is also a very good important question for your certification exam. How you can log Copilot, right? For example, what kind of actions what executed. You may never know about what happens in the background, right? For you to keep track of it, Copilot creates something called as event logs. Now, these event logs are only valid for the last 7 days. Now, for example, uh, this was the event log which was used, right? Which I initiated. Now if you see, it has everything over here. The message sent, hi Einstein. So this is what Copilot sent me, and then this is what the where or the action that I request or something I requested from Copilot, right? So everything is tracked over here. This is the way to track all of your actions that was executed. Now, in many cases, wherever organizations are using GenAI, it's very difficult to keep track of it, right? But over here, we can understand about what was the request made by the user, what was the response, right? This may help you to actually generate some good prompts over here, right? Where your sales rep or service rep can use it and to get more tailored responses in return, right, from your LLM models. Now, this is all about your event your log tracking as well in your Copilot. Now, for you to enable this up, right, it won't be available by default. When you click on this agent, you have something called as enrich event logs with conversation data. You have to first enable it up, and then only it will start recording all of these logs, right? See, it stores conversation transcripts, including end user data in event logs for this agent. When this setting is disabled, conversation data is replaced with sensitive data, and with sensitive data is not available in this, but this would actually give you entire transcript of it. Now, this is all for your demo of Einstein Copilot as well. There's just one last thing that I want to just cover up is about how you can use MuleSoft APIs over here, right? Now, what I'll do is I'll just go and click on Open Builder. Now, I have created few custom actions over here, right? And the way for you to create custom actions is just go to click on the setup icon over here. In the setup, all you have to do is click on, just type in agent. We have something called as agent actions. Now, in this agent actions, what I have done is I have created two auto launch flows, right? If you remember, there are three ways that we can create custom actions. The first one is using your auto launch flows. Second, your invocable Apex. And third one was your prompt builder prompts. Now, what I did is I created some flows over here, which actually invokes the MuleSoft background. Now, this is one of the flow. Uh, Let me just have a more better example. Yeah, fetch active promotions, right? So this is one of the which is this is one of the flow which I had created, and this is agent action instructions where we specify, right, for what thing that this flow should be executed, right? For what thing? If you see, perform this actions only when prompted by the user, and return the rebate code based upon the vehicle name and inform us whether any valid promotion exists or not. So internally, this actually makes a call out to MuleSoft APIs. Now, this is the response that we get from this is your exchange, and this is where we made a call out to this API over here, and this is the response that we got, that we have your code, your expiration date, and everything is present in this response, right? Now, uh, okay, yeah, this is your agent actions, and if I go and just enter that, let me click on your Copilot, and if you see, what I did earlier was I just entered over here, right, fetch an active promotion of this vehicle particularly, and it returned me an active promotion by making a call out to your MuleSoft APIs, right? This is also a way for you to invoke MuleSoft APIs from your agents. Now, for the resources for this certification would be your trail mix. I cleared the certification on day 2 or day 3 of it. And for I just referred the certification and these links all together. So second was blog from Santanu Boral, which particularly talk about the AI special certification in depth, right? What kind of things that you can expect from the certification. Then I had also recorded a video upon how you can use agent force with your MuleSoft automations, which contains MuleSoft RPA, your Anypoint APIs, right? So everything is also recorded in that particular video. And the fourth video is about about that uh, GenAI offerings by Salesforce and how you can use them in your Salesforce CRM application. It's a very important topic, and this video will be very helpful to you as well. And these are all of the AI specialist certification resources which refer to clear it up. And that's all for today. I hope you like this video, like this meetup, and I'll just open the ground for Q&A. If you have any questions about this certification and what kind of things that you are referring, you can just ask me, and I'm here for the next 5 minutes to answer it up. So everyone have the mic. Everyone has a mic access, so they can unmute it up. Or if if you're a bit shy, you can also use the comment section to enter your questions, and I will be answering it over here. If not, then you can also reach me on LinkedIn. You can just send a message to me, and I'll be answering to your question. Maybe not immediately, but I'll be there. I'll be sure to answer your question over here. Generally, the MuleSoft the Dreamforce sessions are, I would say, Rajdhani Expresses, which they run more faster than Shatabdi. Yep, sure. I'll be sharing the resources as well.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, my guess. It was really a good session. So where like at least we come to know how we can start with this AI specialist certification. We got fair idea on that, and if you can also share all the resources where people can learn the things, right? Like you
Yep.
may send the mail, right? So where you can just provide all the links for the trail mix or trailhead where people can go and start studying. And also it will be good if you can share the link where people can just enroll for the certification, also free certification, right? So you can send,
Yep.
yeah, you can
Yep.
see send those links so people can take the benefit of those things.
Yep. Sure. All right then. What I'll be doing, Mahalakshmi, is I'll be sending it. As I mentioned, I'll be sending it over an email to all of you. You can also have it in your email box, and you can open the links whenever possible. And I think there are no questions, so we are ready, we are good to wind it up. Uh, Again, thank you all for joining in today's meetup and sending in some time with us. I'll be sharing the resources in the email. You can refer it up, as well as if you have any questions regarding the certification, you can just message me. And if if you also want to present in Mumbai MuleSoft meetup, just be free to reach out to me or Jitendra, and we'll be helpful, and we'll be helpful to provide you an opportunity. If you are a first time speaker, you are also more than welcome. That's all. Thank you all for joining, and see you soon with another great meetup from our side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.